gotta sweep, sweep, sweep!
How many months has it been? I haven't even checked before I actually, like, looked. How many months has it been? Hi, what's up? It's been a long time since I've done anything solo. I think the last thing that I did that was solo was literally the last episode of GBA Sweep, which is almost a year ago now at this point. December 21st, 2022. It's 11/14/2023. Welcome back. I said I was gonna play every single goddamn Game Boy Advance game, and damn it, we're never gonna get there. But I'll at least pretend like it's theoretically possible. This is the game we left off on, by the way. I gotta say, I'm not that interested in playing Advance Wars. Because, yeah, we already know what's good, alright? There's nothing really interesting about playing Advance Wars with the idea of looking into it and be like, ooh, is this a hidden gem on the Game Boy Advance? Gee, I wonder. One fun thing that happened since the last time I did GBA Sweep... No, actually, I think that happened before I did the last episode. To be fair, I think, like, the last episode of GBA Sweep was also a long gap from the episode before it. It was just finishing up Advanced Guardian Heroes. This is just, the completion of, the 8. I'm just kidding. No, it's not. There's, like, fucking 100 more to go. This is Advance Wars. The remake came out of 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, and I played it. I played through the entirety of Advance Wars 1's story, and a good chunk of the second, before a fun game came out called Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. No, this is not my first time playing, but thanks. So, Advance Wars is a series that started on the NES, on the Famicom. It was called Famicom Wars, obviously. And Advance Wars is where it actually transitioned to the West. And what Japan found out was that the Americans liked this game better. That is the sad truth of what happened. And anytime this happens, it either has to get, like, lovingly taken in by the Western Nintendo people, or, like, whatever company is making the game, or it just gets dropped. It's what happened with Nichijou. It's what happened with Advance Wars. It's what's happened with, arguably, F-Zero, I would say, is reasonable to argue that. Games that just perform really well in the West kind of just die if they don't perform equally well in Japan. So we got Advance Wars 1, Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising, which is immediately after this one. We're going to play that. I'm probably going to play them in the same episode, because why separate them? Then we got Dual Strike, which is the one I grew up with. And then we got Days of Ruin, which is kind of completely different and its own beast. And I almost want to do a playthrough of that one specifically, because I would argue that it has the best story mode of the 4 games. This game, it has a story mode. And it's pretty fun. You play as Andy, Sam, and Max, and you essentially fight a bunch of your rivals from the opposite CEO sides, and try to uncover who is going around and being a little jerkwad Sammy behind the scenes. Not actually Sammy. Sammy's fine. She's a bit of a jerkwad, but not until the second game where she gets insta-caps. So, I think what I'm going to do is just run through a simple versus mode for 1, and then play maybe a couple missions of 2. I think that's fair. The missions in 1 are not that important unless I play hard mode, which, as far as I know, is not available at the start of the game. Do I have to play field training to get to the campaign in the original game? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're just going to be starting a new versus mode match. I don't really care what map. We don't have many unlocked. I don't think I can play anyone but the Orange Star Army COs. Which, their name got changed, actually. They're Orange Star in this game, and I think in the remake they're called something else. Due to legal reasons. Well, not legal reasons, more like trying to avoid being associated with Russia. The game got super delayed, thanks to Russia deciding to invade Ukraine. That is what happened. We will play... Oh, that map sucks. Is there any map that's, like, not awful? That's okay. I'll just play River Range. This looks fine. CS, since we can only play a couple to see... Oh, no, we can play Olaf. Okay. I'll fight Olaf. So, if you've never played Advance Wars before, I'm sure not a lot of this is going to make a lot of sense. I'm pretty familiar with the games. I'm not great at them, but I at least know what I'm doing. Andy has no powers. He can do a little dummy heal every couple of turns. He has a pretty fast charging power, but otherwise it's pretty bad in this game. Olaf is similarly in the same boat. He can make a snowstorm for one turn. Everyone else gets hindered and loses their movement. He does not. Largely irrelevant. He's also weaker in rain, but that doesn't matter if you... Unless you're fighting Drake or you have random weather on. Sammy is pretty good. She increases the capture rate of her infantry and mechs and makes the rest of her units kind of poop. Except for artillery. Artillery's fine. And Max is just disgusting in this game. He has... It's like plus 50% damage on everything that's considered a vehicle. Except for his artillery, which have -1 range, which genuinely does not matter when you're dealing 50% extra fucking damage. Pretty ridiculous. I'll just play Andy, though. Maybe I'll play someone different at Advance Wars 2. Do we want random weather on? Yeah, that's fine. It technically gives Olaf an advantage, but it also can fuck him over by making it rain. Keep power on. We don't need to have a set number of captures to win because there's, like, no fucking properties. Fog on. We'll have the fog off. Technically, having fog on is more natural. I didn't realize this was a pre-deployed map. This is a super pre-deployed map. There are no bases. Well, I guess that does make this nice and fast. Alright, so we got a couple infantry, a mech, 2 mechs actually, an artillery, a recon, and a tank, and an APC. I guess I want to capture one of those cities immediately. So I can give myself a little bit of a tactical advantage. I could have placed the mech inside the APC. That probably would have been smarter. Send the tank out. We have the advantage of going first, so we're pretty much guaranteed optimal advantaging. Send the recon up. That's going to bully the artillery. I don't know what he's going to do. I doubt he's going to just send all his infantry over to try and go for my base. He's probably just going to do the same thing I'm doing. Yep, okay. So, he positioned himself in a really awkward fashion, so I'm going to punish him for it. Getting the immediate first strike on that tank pretty much nets me the best chances possible. The artillery cannot reach me. And we're looking pretty smooth. I think I'm also going to, yeah... Plot the APC right here. The AI in Advance Wars is notoriously really shit and loves to attack APCs at any chance they can get. Our goal here, if you choose to accept it, is just going to be win. Either by deleting all of his units with your own, or capping the HQ. And right now we are in optimal position to do so. Infantry are really bad at fighting tanks. They can do it a little bit. They can do chip damage. But ultimately your goal is to have opportune engagements. When you first strike, they have to retaliate using their leftover HP after you deal the damage. So basically what happened there earlier, me attacking the tank, was me essentially shitting all over their tank. I did 55 damage to it, which can do a random luck roll between 5 and 6 damage. It did 5, and ultimately he had to retaliate with a 5 HP tank, so that's why it did so little. In that instance, he attacked with a 5 HP tank against my 9 HP tank, so he managed to do a little bit of damage with first strike, but obviously I'm still pretty reasonably at a good advantage here. What we're going to do now is hammer that tank. This is going to leave me at an inopportune position with the artillery. The artillery is able to fire on me. It's probably going to blow up my tank, but I get the first strike on the artillery and can deal a reasonable amount of damage to it. With optimal luck, I could have gotten 5 damage on that, but it's not a big deal. I can now place an artillery here, and anything he tries to do with any of these available units will get smashed. I guess the worst thing he could maybe do is like artillery the APC, bring it down, and then bring that over. But then I still have my tank in that case, so pretty much not a big deal. He's going to go for a capture, which is really funny. So I guess I'm going to toss my mech over here. I think mechs do slightly more damage with their machine gun than infantry. That might just be a dual strike thing. It's largely not important. Mechs have 1 less movement than infantry. Infantry move 3, while mechs move 2. But mechs only take 1 terrain from, like, everything, while infantry take 2 terrain from mountains and forests. So technically, the mech can move farther over mountains. Actually, no, the infantry does not take 2 from forests, just mountains and rivers. So the mech can actually move better through shittier terrain. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just going to wait. It's in the woods, so it technically has a little bit of defense stars going for it. It'll take slightly less damage. There's no missing in this game. And it sure did go for my APC. Oh, that very exploitable Advanced Wars AI. Goodbye, my APC. He's very happy about this, but the trade is not good, Olaf. It's just not that good. I do see that they are attempting something like a CO, like a base capture. It's very interesting what they're trying to go for here. Basically trying to take my bases. But it's not going to work. I do have a little bit of defense from the planes, but it's not anything amazing. They, meanwhile, have like a 3-star terrain like bonus from sitting on my city. But it's not super huge of a deal. I'm going to blast this recon to Kingdom Come. It is in very, very big disrepair. Infantry are not exactly good against most vehicle types, but they can hammer recons a little bit, and this is a very good trade. Due to infantry costing very little, and that recon not having much it can do in retaliation. It only has 2 health, it's not going to get anywhere. I will do a nice cool capture there. We're going to hammer the artillery once more. It is effectively useless now. It could maybe deal like 1 damage to something. He might literally just go back and heal. Goodbye, recon. And right now, I am in optimal position. I have not lost anything other than the stupid APC, and everything else is at a reasonable health. Tank's a little bit damaged, but it can be healed, so it's not a huge deal. He's getting a little close to his CO power, but not threateningly so. He is actually retreating it. He's probably going to plop it onto his base to heal. I'm not going to allow that. It heals 2 per turn, and that is really annoying, so I'm not going to allow that. That's a little bit of okay damage, and here is where we're going to get rid of you. This is almost a guaranteed kill. Yeah. Units have 100 HP, but you deal damage in, like, 55... you deal damage in 10 HP chunks. So this has 60 HP, but it could potentially have anywhere from 69 to 60 HP. And it saves that number. There are ways you can, like, kind of tell with the bar, but it's a little hard to do. So potentially an attack that says it deals 60 to the tank, it could kill or it could not. At least I think that's how it works. It might actually have 51 to 60. Don't quote me on that. We're definitely going to do a good engagement here by just plopping the recon down. Recons are only really good at dealing with other recons or fighting infantry. The main use of them is getting extra vision in Fog of War. You can only capture with your infantry and mechs, hence why they're important. They're nice and cheap. And that APC is doing absolutely nothing, so we're going to ignore it. As long as it doesn't try to sit in its base, we should be able to go for an HQ capture. Unfortunately, my APC blew up. I don't know how that happened, so I do not have an APC at the moment. But they only have 2 threatening units left, and I will have to say they are not that threatening. They appear very stuck in an AI pattern. Very unfortunate. Random weather activated. It is rain. That sure sucks for Olaf. I forget what the disadvantage to Olaf is when it's raining. I think he wastes more fuel. Or maybe he moves slightly slower. It's really random. And honestly, in the future games, they get rid of that nerf because he didn't need a weakness. Andy has no strength or weakness. And honestly, that's a downside because most of the strengths just mean build the unit you're good with and ignore the one you're bad with. And usually that's fine. It's a lot worse for Max in later games when he does not have the advantage of 50% bonus power on all his vehicles, and instead it's a much more reasonable, it's like 20% power or something like that. It's like very reasonable, and it doesn't help much. Artillery is just ridiculous. You really need artillery in order to do a lot in competitive Advance Wars. It basically helps you choke points. It lets you hammer shit. And especially with Fog of War being the standard for Advance Wars competitive play, it's just too imperative to have. I'm going to place that on the HQ, so he doesn't try to place his on the HQ, which means I would have to destroy it. I'm going to destroy it anyway, because honestly at this point it's probably faster to just kill him. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think I can just win this turn. So I will do so. Even with your 3+ terrain stars, is not going to help you, Olaf. You're pretty much boned. He managed to take out 1 APC. The AI in Advance Wars is not exactly known for its brilliance. I will say that much. But also, this is a pre-deployed map. Hopefully we'll be able to play some maps that are not pre-deployed. But if I play the campaign of 2, then we're going to be doing a bunch of pre-deployed maps. Which is arguably better for the campaign. It makes more sense that you start out with some units. But obviously, for competitive, you don't want to play with pre-deployed. It just gives too much of an advantage to the person who goes first. Typically, when people do competitive Advance Wars, a thing that's often like done is the person who goes first gets no units, but the person who goes second gets 1 infantry. That way, they can like stay equal in the capture game, and there's arguably an incentive to be alright going second, because it's almost always just worse. But yeah, that's Advance Wars 1. I kind of explained it. Listen, this is going to happen, alright? There's going to be games where I don't really want to play them, because there's no point. Like, when we get to Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, Pokemon Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, you don't need me to GBA sweep them. They've already been swept plenty good. They are a well-worn path. There is nothing more that needs to be said about them. I would rather play them for another reason, such as like a ROM hack or similar. There's nothing really to say. Same with Advance Wars. It's been done to death. It's a well-worn game. It's obviously an A-tier game. I would say, spoilers, Advance Wars 2 is an S-tier game. It's definitely the best game we've played so far. This is probably the second best. As much as I liked Advanced Guardian Heroes and Action Man, or whatever the hell it was called, they are not as good as Advance Wars. This game is an absolute classic. It definitely has some flaws, and Advance Wars 2, I would argue, is the most... No, Advance Wars 1's the most balanced. But Advance Wars 2 adds just enough that I think makes them... It's like an infinitely replayable game. That and Dual Strike as well. Dual Strike has some really stupid shit in it that makes it really, really dumb. The Black Bomb is really, really overpowered. Some of the extra units they add are a little ridiculous. Dual Strikes themselves, where you can take 2 turns in a row, is mega overkill, but you can play without that stuff. You can turn units off. I think you can also turn off Dual Strikes. I mean, obviously you can play with just 1 CO, and it's just fun, and you get extra COs. It's fun. The only problem is you don't actually get, Sturm. You get Old Man in a wheelchair. Not a wheelchair, actually. He's in, like, a breathing tube. What the fuck was up with Von Bolt? You know, Advance Wars is a crazy game. Maybe I'll play Dual Strike or Days of Ruin one day. But yeah, that's Advance Wars 1. I don't think there's really much else that needs to be said. It's a pretty simple story mode. There's... Oh, it can be challenging, but what I mean is, like, the story is pretty simple. It's just Sturm being Sturm, doing Sturm things. That's why we're going to play Black Hole Rising, which is much crazier. Oh, look at the music. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, do! 2 had a couple updates over the first one. It added a new CO to every single one of the armies, except for the Black Hole, who kind of didn't exist. It was just Sturm. Now there are 3 new COs for them, and Orange Star gets none. So it's 6 new COs, which is a fairly reasonable amount. Actually, could you play Hachi in Advance Wars 1? Because if you couldn't, then technically it's 7 new COs, because you can definitely play him in 2. Hachi's ridiculous, but we are not going to be playing the campaign mode. I decided against it. We're going to be playing a versus match, and we're going to be playing a good versus match. Can I select it? Oh, no, I can select them. Okay, cool. What is a good versus map that doesn't look too terribly long, that can be a little bit more to bite into? Definitely let's switch back. No, it's like Little Island's like, alright. Has a couple bases. Sun Canal's a little ridiculous. But it does get a little bit more of the gameplay. You know, I guess I kind of want to do one where we have a little bit of airport fun. I don't know what the hell's up with this one. Look at this shit. Why is our HQ so far away from our stuff? Why would we build it that way? That one's way too big. Pre-deployed. We don't want pre-deployed. Classic, I think, is all the ones from like the first game, maybe. Asphalt Maze. Can we get like one that's reasonable? That one's way too big. This one's sea combat, which is awful. Ports are just terrible. Most of the units you can summon are really limited in where they can move, obviously. They're very expensive, and they counter very specific shit. You want battleships because they're awesome, but battleships are like 25,000? 24,000? They're ridiculously overpriced for what they are. They're bulky. They can take some abuse, but that's really not necessary. They're artillery units. You know what? We're gonna try Sun Canal. No, we're not. This is the one that doesn't have airports. We're gonna try Beaker River. Who are my COs I'm allowed to pick? Okay. Well, instead of Olaf, we have Flak. Flak is really bad. He is really bad. He is the worst CO in the game by a lot. His CO power, just his day-to-day ability, is that sometimes his units deal a little more damage, and sometimes they deal a little less. His powers make him do the same thing but crazier. And what it ultimately results in is an average damage boost of 10% for his regular CO power and 20% for his super CO power. That is fucking dog shit. This guy right here, as nerfed as he is, deals 20% with like all vehicles as a daily. Then his regular power and his super CO give him like movement and also give him like 20% power and like 50% power. Or something like that. He's way better. And Max isn't even good. Sammy's ridiculous, though. I don't know if I want to play Sammy. I think I'm going to play Max, and we're going to make you play... Andy's better in this game because he has a super CO power that's busted as fuck. We can play Sammy, so you can see a little bit of what she's like. I don't want to play with Fog, honestly. I'd really rather you guys be able to see what the hell's happening. Leave the visuals on. Looks like we start with an airport. Okay, so what we immediately want to do is get an airport so we can go over there and take the center out. Like, fucking immediately. Like, I do believe that that's also what Sammy's going to do, and Sammy's better at it than I am. But technically my infantry aren't weak, so, well, it was stealthy what she did. Yep, she did the exact same thing. Okay. Well, I don't care what she's doing. I'm immediately going for that base. That right there. Cities just give you an extra 1,000 funds every day. Bases give you an extra 1,000 funds every day and allow you to deploy. That is disgustingly necessary for your overall survivability. Units cannot move after they've been undeployed by the T-copter for transport. So arguably, it might be better to send a couple people just like... honestly, you can just make it. You don't really need a transport. You're fine. I might save up for a battlecopter. Yeah. Battlecopters are ridiculous. They're pretty cheap. They're mobile, and they deal a fuck ton of damage to most ground-based vehicles. They obviously get pounded by anti-air, and anti-air is slightly cheaper, and that is not an exchange you want at all. Anti-air shreds the fuck out of it. But still, it's fairly reasonable. So Sammy still takes 2 turns to capture, by the way. But it's okay. Because she gets 15 durability when she captures, as opposed to our units taking 10. If they take 1 hit of damage, then the capture's over. Well, they won't be able to capture it in 2 days. They'll take 3. And that sucks. She does 15. Now what that means is that you have to knock her unit down to 2 HP in order to knock her down. It is fucking ridiculous. And, like, slow down her capture. It is absolutely absurd what that means. Anyway, I'm going to actually place a copter here to prevent any untoward nonsense from occurring. And we're immediately going to start hassling her units. A battlecopter can't interrupt a cat, unfortunately, but it can still do a little bit of work. We're also going to build a tank and keep that pressure going. And next turn, we're going to be able to build from down there, which is very good. We're probably going to want to get an anti-air immediately. Anti-air are also ridiculously good at killing infantry. When they're unguarded by, like, any terrain, like on roads, and I think planes as well, they one-shot them, and that's ridiculous. Also, when I say that Max's vehicles are actually ridiculous, what I mean is anything that's like a direct combat unit. So, not infantry, but it also includes battlecopters. So Max does have a very strong day-to-day. It's just not as strong as it was, and the ability to not deploy artillery worth for shit is really annoying. But Sammy is the opposite. Well, kind of the opposite. She doesn't have good indirects. She has okay indirects. She has really ridiculously strong infantry. which doesn't sound super scary, but Sammy mech spam is kind of a nightmare, because mechs can fuck up your tanks really badly. We don't want that. But for an example, like, that's pretty good. Max of old would have done like 81%. It would have been like some ridiculous number. But if you look at like the infantry engagements that I would take against her, they would look kind of favorably because she doesn't have good defense. She just has like good offense, but it's still fucking ridiculous. You do not want to engage Sammy in infantry one-on-one that often. You can do it to like interrupt caps or fuck her around, but you know. What we're doing essentially here is draining a little bit of her funds. She's going to automatically heal because she's sitting on the base, and doing so saps some of her funds, which is very annoying for her. We're also going to place the battlecopter there, I think? I don't think we terrifically need the battlecopter or the T-copter for anything. She's probably going to blow the fuck out of it, but it will slow down her ability to capture, which is really useful. We're going to do the same thing over there. She's not able to reach anything over there, but it's still pretty useful to do that. Build, I guess. I might build like an infantry and maybe a T-copter here next turn, but no immediate rush to do so. She's currently a little ahead in the capture game, but that's okay. It's kind of what you expect when Sammy is on the field. Yeah, that's a pretty good amount of damage there, Sammy. I think that someone else would have done, like, less. But it shouldn't kill the T-copter. And hey, T-copter with 2 HP is just as good as a T-copter with full HP. Just don't put it in harm's way if you're trying to transport. Oh, right. I forgot that shit is down there. Yeah, we don't want her to get that. Yeah, we absolutely do not want her to get any of that. That is a hard no from me. No. Old Max would have killed there. Old Max would have killed there. And yes, that's overpowered, but you know what? Maybe it should be overpowered. Nope. You want to capture that city? I'll capture this. Fair trade. Bridges do not provide any defensive capabilities either. So we're good here. And we're pretty much just going to do a little bit of tank spam. Max is really good at tank spam. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. You can build artillery, and you can build your own tanks, but yeah. There's a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors with this game. That was a bit of a mistake. I probably could have captured that. But honestly, I'd rather just be a bother right now. Just block her bullshit. That's probably better. I could technically join here, and doing so would give me a little bit of funds. You can do that with, like, your units to heal them. I have, like, a 5 HP infantry and a 9, or, like, a 4, and I combine them to make a 9. Or you can combine a full HP into a low HP one, and you can get a little bit of extra fund, the equivalent of how much you would have paid for, like, 2 HP of healing. Which is kind of useful. Honestly, an APC would be great. I could also build a recon. It's not a bad idea with Max, because they're pretty mobile. They move 8, but they suck at moving through forests. So I can just move along the roads, and that can fuck shit up. It's especially good at dealing with artillery. But I might just save my money and consider a medium tank. That's really, like, once you build a medium tank, their only real recourse is building a lot of it artillery, or building their own medium tank, which is, in Sammy's case, that's not exactly smart. It's not really a wise investment, because her medium tanks suck. They're not awful. They're not useless. They'll still pound you, but they have a damage fall off. And when you're building a 1,600 cost unit, it's not very good. Honestly, I think I'm just going to keep the T-copter here. We're going to see some infantry engagement, like, right now. And you're going to see why it's not exactly smart to go up against Sammy with infantry engagements. Or maybe not. Maybe Sammy's stupid and will not actually engage me. Never mind. Well, let's watch this. My life. It's not as ridiculous as my tanks versus her infantry, because infantry have, like, god-awful defense. Yep, there's an anti-air. That's too little too late, though. That's not going to be able to do much. Absolutely click capture here. we want that base fucking pronto. We want those airports here so we can start spamming the fuck out of her and making her life absolutely miserable. That can target all the way over there, which is really spooky. But hypothetically, 66 versus 102. We can actually blow the fuck out of it. Problem is the artillery. It's positioned in a really awkward place, and we don't want to really take that engagement if we don't have to. We'd rather her come to us. So I think what we should be doing is interrupting her caps wherever possible. I do believe a soft, loving kiss from one of my tanks will give her all the incentive she needs to not try and fuck with me. It's just my guess. You can still toss max infantry at her infantry, because again, they don't have good defense, so they'll take the damage first before their retaliation. And that does just fine. We have a good money. We do not have enough for a medium tank. I think I will build an APC. Honestly, we might not even need to. No, we don't need an APC. Why would I do that? Fuck it. I'll have a T-copter. Yeah, I'll need that. The T-copter. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. I don't even need the T-copter. Just send him over. He's got it. There's not really a way she's going to contest that. She does not have any battlecopters for whatever reason. That's honestly what I should be building. It's just more fucking battlecopters, but I need this stuff first before I can consider that. I really want her getting that city, but there's not much I can do about it. The most I could have done is a battlecopter down here and attacking here, which I guess I could have done, but I'd rather get this first. That is priority number 1. That city's not going to do terribly much for her, and once that thing is dead, I can just capture it. So I think what I'll do... Honestly, I'll just pound this infantry right here. That'll get it out of the way. The only way that wouldn't have killed is if I was playing Combai's daughter, whose name escapes me at the moment. For some reason, I want to say Korasami. that's not her name. She is cool though. She's not Korasami because that's like technically 2 people. That's shit. What's her name? God damn it, what's her name? I'm gonna search it and I'm like halfway through typing and I'll remember it. Sonia, that's her name. Yeah, Sonia has bad luck, so she'll just randomly deal less damage. Kind of like Flak, but she has the upside of being stupid in Fog of War. And also she hides her units' HP values, which is really annoying. So like, you see this too, it would just be a question mark. And you have to remember what their HP value is, because you can see it in combat. Often when people play with Sonya, there's a house rule where you just turn off the animations. So you just do not get to see her HP, and you have to keep track of everything. It's a very silly upside, because technically against computers it does nothing, but against players, that shit can be very annoying. Speaking of very annoying, I just noticed that there's a mech here, and I don't feel like dealing with a mech at all. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get rid of that. First engagement we're going to take is on the plains. This gives me the most defense possible. Obviously, I take back a decent bit because it is a Sammy mech, but it's not so awful. I can live with that. We're then going to deliver its life to the afterlife. You'll notice that she wasn't using the bazooka when she retaliated. Mechs have both their gun and their bazooka. They can only use their bazooka against tanks, so they really suck against battlecopters. Maybe I should have attacked with the battlecopter first. But don't tell anyone that. Mum's the word. I'm tempted to just throw you on here and try to capture for the sole purpose of drawing aggro. And that does technically waste someone else's turn, so that's not an awful idea. I could also toss my T-Copter up here so she has something else to destroy. Though that does charge her CO power. Though it charges mine more. You charge double for your units being destroyed versus you destroying their units. So it's kind of more of a comeback mechanic, but it can still charge normally. I think I'm going to interrupt this cap. It is going to result in a little bit of carnage on my end, but I think that's kind of unavoidable at this point. So I'm alright with that. And we can interrupt this cap, which is very important. And I think she's actually going to prioritize attacking my capturing unit. I don't know what with, probably the recon, honestly, so it's not that big of a deal. But then she's going to move the artillery in a stupid fashion, and I should be able to do something about it. Even though the anti-air is really good against battlecopters, battlecopters can still go over the ocean. So that gives them a very strong advantage. I could technically build rockets. Rockets are further range artillery. They have less shorter range, but more farther range. It's 3 to 4. Actually, it's supposed to be 3 to 5, but max sucks. So I think I'm going to ignore that. I could build an anti-air, and honestly, that might be smart in case she decides to build a battlecopter. I don't think I want to be caught with my pants down, so anti-air it is. It's slightly more expensive than the tank, but well worth it. There is a very strong rock, paper, scissors-esque nature to Advance Wars that has been logged and cataloged. Tanks, anti-air, and battlecopters. Those are the main units. Tanks beat the anti-air, anti-air beats the battlecopters, and battlecopters beat the tanks. So you really want to have a strong force of all three, and you don't want to be someone who's really bad at specializing. She moved that onto her base. That was a little silly. That was definitely a mistake on her part. It means she can't build anything there. She also put her anti-air into a rather precarious spot. Even with an opportune engagement, that still sucked. Thanks, dickhead. I'll still capture that in 2 days. Did you really just do that? Wait, where'd you attack that from? Oh, from there. Okay, okay, that's fine. Just making sure she wasn't attacking my airport. Oh, yeah, capture that. We can start working on this airport, which is not super necessary, but I'll take it. You definitely want to capture inward on her territory first before you try and capture your shit. Really helps to do that. Gives you a very strong fighting force. I'm also going to just get rid of you. I can mostly do it. That infantry is far past useless now. I'm going to continue my capture. I'll capture on next turn. It's arguably a better use of my time. This is going to blow the fuck out of that infantry, so that's fine. A little bit of an awkward spot here. I'll move you there. I don't know where I'm going to toss you. How about I toss you over... I could do this. And doing that makes her have to, like, attack that. It's a little bit of a silly maneuver, but I like it. That is not going to capture for a very long time. She's going to be on capture AI, so she's just going to leave that there. That's fine by me. She can leave that there all she wants. I do not care. You can move back. Your job is done. We have a pretty strong force right here. It's going to be very difficult for her to contest this. Even though my tank took a little bit of a bruising, I think I'm just going to go over here and pop this. A 3 HP tank can still technically help you against infantry. If they're weakened up enough. Your unit can only deal as much damage as they have more health. So, the more health you have, the stronger your unit's going to be able to deal with shit. But obviously, like, a full HP infantry versus a full HP tank, it's going to lose the engagement every single time versus the tank. Though, a full HP infantry versus, like, a 3 HP tank, probably going to destroy it. It's going to take a couple turns, but it'll do it. especially if it gets, like, the first strike. And, like, a 1 HP infantry and a 1 HP tank, the tank is more likely to win. Though, technically, if the tank has 1 HP, you can roll the luck to kill it. Your luck stat is also determined by how much HP you have. You can deal, like, plus 10 points more damage, like a whole damage number more, if you have full HP. If you don't have full HP, it, like, diminishes every time. So, like, a 1 HP infantry can only deal, like, plus 1% more damage, and that's it. And that's, like, a 50-50. It's unreliable as fuck. It's not gonna win that. Probably. Especially if the tank has technically 10 HP. And this counts as a 1 HP unit. Yeah, we're just gonna start pounding shit. I think that is definitely what I'm going to be doing. I don't want this battlecopter to take a bad hit. That force is a little bit of an unfortunate placement, I am noticing. So I'm just gonna attack here. It's very possible that the artillery fucks me over. It goes first. And that would be unfortunate, but if I lose the battlecopter, I lose the battlecopter. It's not the end of the world. We cannot capture the base just yet, so we're going to block it. Doing so is going to essentially make it useless. Cannot build anything there if there's something on top of it. Yeah, my battlecopter's pretty much safe. It would have to go, like, yeah, it'd have to go through too far, so I don't think it has the movement for that. The worst that's going to happen is the artillery's going to blow it up and it's going to go instant one-tap my T-copter. Which, I gotta be honest, if it goes for my T-copter, that's hilarious, and I'm okay with that. Medium tank time. Good luck. You're gonna need it, Sammy. You do not want to mess with a max medium tank. Medium tanks do a good, solid chunk more damage to tanks. They chunk the fuck out of them, even if you aren't max. I think they can even one-shot them if they're on roads. Max medium tanks are slightly overkill, especially in the first game. They're absolutely insane. Max Neo tanks are slightly stronger, but also Neo tanks are kind of shitty. they're very overpriced for what they are. Alright, well, we got another base. Or another thing. We're also going to get another airport, which is wonderful. It didn't even attack me. Interesting maneuver. I think what I'm going to do... Honestly, I could have kept, like, the T-copter there and tried some silly base shenanigans. There's nothing protecting it, so I could probably do a sneaky maneuver. Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of want to. That sounds funny. Battlecopter! Time. Cannot reach any of your shit here. So I'll just blow this up. One problem with medium tanks is they have 1 less movement compared to tanks. Tanks have 6. Medium tanks only have 5. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's kind of like the Armonite shenanigans in Fire Emblem. We can do an engagement here, which we're going to do, but first and foremost, you gotta go. Yeah, good luck, Anti-Air. Anti-Air can do a little bit of damage to tanks if they attack first, but it is not a good engagement whatsoever. She is certainly doing some mech spam. Oh yeah, we're going for a base capture. I'm not sitting through that. Also, battlecopters can technically do damage to anti-air, especially max ones. But, like, even with 2 HP, that's all you're doing. And if it attacks back, it deletes you, so... Fine in this case, though. But bam. Even though battlecopters are ridiculous, they actually do have less damage than tanks. By a decent chunk, so... none of your mechs can reach me, Sammy. Although if she uses her CO power, she probably can. But, bet. She's not gonna do that. Yeah, I said it. I said you're not gonna do it, Sammy. And I dare you. Dare you to find her if you can. I don't think that our infantry is going to move because it can't attack anything. It doesn't want to attack anything. So I'm probably just gonna put this down here. Blow you up with the medium tank. Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of damage. Medium tank machine guns are also stronger. Everything about them is stronger than a regular tank. Typically, though, medium tanks are not super necessary. You can get away in a lot of competitive matches with just tanks, battlecopters, artillery, and anti-air. If they have airports. Some of them don't. Some of them are just ground-based combat, which is arguably the most fair, kind of. Although, technically, you could just use a ground-based CO and get an advantage. There's different tiers where I place all the COs. But... that's a lot of shit. I don't want to deal with any of that. The medium tank can just dogpile through them, but eventually you send enough of those flies at it and it'll just sort of start to bring it down. Why did I not realize that I just capped the base? That was silly. We'll build a recon. If she builds, like, a mech, I can send it forward and deal with it. But she's probably going to build, like, a tank or something. Whatever she builds there, a medium tank's going to fuck it up. Snow's a little unfortunate. Snow slows everything down. Does not slow down infantry, though. So, ultimately, that is to her benefit. She built a mech. Okay. Well, that's no problem at all. She is sort of stuck right now in a very inopportune position. Yeah, moving through snow sucks. Moving through snow super sucks with your flying units. That snow came at a very inopportune time. But that is okay. We don't need the airport for anything, so we'll just blow you up. Get rid of you. Continue our capture dominance to increase our finances. Increase the gap between our wages. And prepare for her base, because there's not a whole lot she can really do about it. She can combat me a little bit, but it's not going to last very long. Might actually take a damage here. Sami mechs are kind of strong. Close, but no. Alright. We get rid of the mech. I love the snow backgrounds, honestly. There's so many cool backgrounds for combat in this game. For, like, all sorts of different, like, terrain. And they change based on the CEO you're playing and, like, their affiliation. So, we're both Orange Star, so we both have Orange Star units. But there's Green Earth, Blue Comet. No, not Blue Comet. Blue Moon and Yellow Comet. And I think Yellow Comet is the one that actually got its name changed. It might have also been Orange Star as well. Right? Yeah. I think Yellow Comet is now Gold Comet. Which is fine, honestly. I have no problem with it being Gold Comet. Unlike Wollywogs, whoever changed Wollywogs, I understand that it is technically a naughty word in some European countries, but also, fuck, I like Wollywogs. Why do they have to be Wollyhops now? This is ridiculous. All these snowflakes on my screen are going to increase the latency of the video. I'm going to just go with a tank. She wants to mech spam, I can tank spam. Technically losing out in the price war, but I don't think it's really going to matter. We can also fuck up this T-copter. I think we're able to kill her T-copter. Another advantage that Sami has is that her transport units, like her APC in this... Oh yeah, right, the battlecopter actually fucks the shit out of it. Yeah. Yeah, her transport units have +1 move, which is a lot better than it sounds. It's actually a crazy buff. Oh god, I really just don't want to deal with any of her bullshit. She's going to be able to move again next turn. I'm just going to take the engagement, honestly. I'm going to deal a little bit of damage to her mech. She only has 2 of them, I think. She might have more. How many do you have? No, it's just the 2 of them. Okay, that's not so bad, then. Also plop you there in case the anti-air is able to move down somehow. And pretty soon, we're going to be moving on her base. I could technically have a transport ready for that, but I think I'd rather just save my money. I'm a regular CO power, but I'm saving for my super CO like Sami is. Her super CO is ridiculous, like I said. Her regular CO power is pretty good. It lets her infantry units do a little bit more damage and move faster. Her Super CO power lets her units, regardless of HP, instantly capture. And it's fucking stupid. It's especially stupid in Dual Strike, where you can get 2 turns in a row. And you can wind up in situations where they 2-turn you, sometimes 3-turn you because Eagle's superpower exists. And you can instantly capture their HQ and they have nothing they can do about it. It's kind of really fucking stupid. Sammy is a strong CO, but it requires a smart mind in order to use her. And unfortunately, that anti-air is preventing all of my plans at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to do any silly capture shenanigans. Though, I do have the money for a fighter, not a bomber, unfortunately. Although, I think I should be able to get the money for a bomber if I do this. This would actually I'd have to do. I might consider doing that. That's not a dumb idea, I don't think. Also, anti-airs can actually fuck up recons, and recons can't do shit to anti-air. Another thing to note. If I use my power here, I might be able to blow up this infantry with the recon, which would then let me blow that up with the medium tank, which would be very good. It would sort of leave... No, actually it wouldn't, because then I could tank this, and then I could anti... Ooh. I'm gonna use my power. Yeah. I don't need my Super CO power. Please tell me this wasn't a stupid idea. Max is gonna need a little bit of luck! We got the luck. Alright. That was a pretty likely one. You deal like 0 to 10 points of extra damage in that case. So I was more likely to deal the damage than not. Honestly, I think the anti-air can just do this. Anti-air do a lot more damage. Yeah, there you go. Obviously, if the mech gets the first strike against tanks or anti-air or recons or like whatever, it's very cost effective. They only cost 3,000. Meanwhile, all the rest of that shit costs like 7,000 and up. Ugh, you don't want to do that. I think I am going to do that. It slows my capture down a little bit. But if I do this, I think I can afford a bomber, which I definitely want to do. Alright. The main thing, though, the main goal of this, as you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is the thing that got nerfed in Dual Strike. Max got nerfed twice in 2 games. It is bullshit. He gets an extra move. And it's... Oh, it's Chef's Kiss. That's the best part. The fact that his vehicles get an extra movement is so good. And his Super CO gives him, I think, another movement. It's like... Roll tanks, roll. Goodbye. Get fucked. Good night. Tri-state area. Goodbye, mech. And with this line of bullshit, I don't think there's really a way she can combat this. At all. There's just not much you can do in this case. I might just blow up the T-copter. There's not much point to doing that. Anyway, more importantly though, we're gonna plop you right here. And, I don't know, I can just do this. Blow up the T-copter. It's gonna give her power. You don't charge power when you're using your power. You just charge theirs. But it's fine. If she gets her Super CO power, I genuinely don't care. There's not a whole lot she can do with it at the moment. Alright, that tank is useless. We're also going to make that mech mostly useless. We're also going to drain her funds in doing so. Yeah. Good night, Sammy. The question is, am I going to be able to route her before I finish? Probably not. She's going to mech spam the fuck out of me, and it's going to be very annoying. Here's my bomber. Very, very expensive, but it basically one-shots anything it's able to attack. If it goes first. And if an anti-air hits it first, you cry. However, it is an airplane, so not a lot of ground units can actually attack it. Here's your Super CO. We get the Super CO theme. We also get to see Sammy in a tank top, which is cool. I mean, I think she always just wears a tank top, so that's not anything out of the ordinary. but, you know. Yeah, that was a Super CO power. She does still have a firepower increase, which we want to be wary of, but she does not... Well, she gets a little bit of defense increase. If you have your power active, you have like 10% more defense. It's not nothing, but obviously it's not going to help her in this case. Yeah. Max's 20% bonus overwrites that. For a clean one-hit KO. Get out of here. Max can seem very strong, even without the super firepower bonus. If you're playing a short map. That's where Max really excels. It's the long, tedious Fog of War games where it's a problem. You do not want to deal with Max in a Fog of War map where he has to deal with going through forests chock full of artillery. It's a nightmare, because he can't really do anything about it. He can't outrange it, unless he builds a rocket, so he loses in the cost war. And he basically just fumbles around in the dark and gets obliterated. Which is lore accurate, that's what Grit does to him. Still, sometimes Max comes out on top. Again, in the short game. Short games, Max is king. Very nice. But there are far more busted COs in this game. Colin, don't even get me fucking started. Storm is insane in Advance Wars 2. 20% firepower, 20% defense bonus, and the ability to drop meteors wherever he wants. Also, he does not face any terrain penalties for any reason. He's just a scumfucker. He goes wherever he wants, and he shits all over you. It's really unfortunate. That was actually likely to die. I got a little unlucky there. Oh well. Yeah, we're not dealing with any more battlecopters. Battlecopter combat is very funny because they basically just shred each other like paper. But, you know, Sammy's battlecopters are also weaker. It sucks to suck. Actually, are they? Maybe they aren't. Yep, they're weaker. You'll see right now what she has. She has a ridiculous firepower bonus on her infantry, but that's because they activated their ability. All the +1s are just on all of her transports. The +2 is because she used her superpower. And I think her regular power also gives them +2. But that also makes them negate all terrain penalties. Which, you know, Storm just gets day for day because fuck you, I guess. Storm is ridiculous. He's just the best CO in the game. It's not even a question. Another medium tank, why not? Could have built like another unit, but I don't really need it. We can maybe wrap up next turn. It's going to take a little bit of luck. That infantry is a lot of health, and it's probably going to do something. And also, she's just going to build more shit. So, why am I even pretending I'm going to be able to blow everything up? Yeah, that's exactly what I expected. Yeah, I'm not beating all that. I can still break some of it down to increase my power ranking. I don't know if you get ranking in versus mode. I don't think you do. Oh well. The gunman stands alone, dies. I've considered doing an Advance Wars campaign as well. I've looked into what people have done for it. And there is, I think, an Advance Wars campaign that someone's made. And I don't think it would be impossible. I think I'd have to simplify the combat a little bit. But yeah, it'd be like, you build your own COs with your own CO powers. Advantages and weaknesses. Have a couple others and just, you know, fight. Duke it out on the battlefield. I think it would be pretty fun. It would take a good chunk of work to get to perfect, but, you know, it's not completely out of the woods that I'd do it someday. How can I destroy as many units as possible? Well, first off, this bomber, it existed to blow up an APC. Truly the best cost-effective bomber I've ever built. 22,000 gold to blow up something that cost 5,000. Epic cost efficiency activated. I can't blow you up, unfortunately. Not without multiple units. Yeah, that should allow the tank to just roll on in and kill it. Ooh. Alright. Maybe that'll let me get one extra kill for the lulz. Again, I could just capture right now and win, but, you know. Might as well have some fun. That's definitely a kill. Goodbye. That's one of those rolls that's like, you are more likely to not get it, but sometimes you do, and it feels great. No. It's a pretty bad roll. Not happening today. Alright, what do we kill? Do we kill the tank or the infantry? Tank is technically better. More money. Alright, and that's what I was able to do. Soundly defeated. The AI has not gotten much better. Days of Ruin, I'd say, is its best AI. It's also the latest game in the series, but it changed a lot. So, the fact that its AI is better is, you know, fine. You're not going to get super challenged by the AI. Usually, during the campaign, they just overweigh the odds in the enemy's favor through the use of terrain and extra items and extra deployment. And that's how they get you. Also, stronger COs, typically. Although, not always. I mean, sometimes they're running around with flak. A lot of this game is flak. And, you know, sometimes they pull Lash out at you, and Lash is pretty good. And Sturm, late game. Sturm is fucking ridiculous. Hawk is also pretty strong. He's overrated, but he's pretty good. He has a just flat 10% damage boost. Always. No downside. Other than the fact that his power and superpower are very expensive. But they're strong. Wahoo! Easy as pie. 13 days. I definitely recommend checking out Advance Wars 2 and 1. I'd probably recommend just skipping the 2, though. 1's pretty fun, but if you just want to play a classic Advance Wars game, just play Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising. It's an S-tier game. It's absolutely the best game on the list so far. No question about it. As much as Action Man is fun and Advanced Guardian Heroes is cool, Advanced Guardian Heroes is a laggy mess. Action Man is pretty simple. This game is chock full of depth. It has an expansive campaign. It has hidden maps. It has a lot of fun you can do by yourself. It has almost limitless potential with your friends if you just want to sit down and play hours-long matches against each other and just slug it out. Or go for capture wins. There are entire channels dedicated to it. There is a website dedicated to people playing Advanced Wars peer-to-peer. It's ridiculous how much this game is adored by its coveted fans. Advanced Wars is great. I'm very glad that it got remade. 1 and 2 did. And as much as I played, they're pretty faithful remakes. They don't add too terribly much. Just, it's really just a wholesale remake of the games. It even has the same ridiculous Max is overpowered in Advance Wars 1, and if you play Advance Wars 2, he gets his power nerfed. It's very funny. You can play with the rule set of 1, where you have certain units unavailable, and certain units of their buff level. And in Advance Wars 2, you can play with that level. It's just awesome. I highly recommend checking that out if you have the money. If you don't, just go play Advance Wars Black Hole Rising. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Anywho, next time, we dive back into the shovelware with Adventure of Tokyo Disney Sea Japan. We are immediately going back to the shovelware bin. Now, hold on. That's Tokyo. That's licensed. That's Disney. That's super licensed. Maybe it'll be fun. By the way, parentheses Japan, what that means is this is the first game where it's never been released in the States. Did I say I was also going to be playing those? Because I'm pretty sure I did at some point. It's been so long. Maybe you forgot. Maybe I forgot if I said or not. I don't know if it's going to be translated or not. This isn't like Super Mario Brothers on the NES, where there's so few text in the game, it's in English, in both languages. We'll find out together, I guess. See you guys for that next time. Bye-bye, everybody.